and hears Jesus say this and says, whoa, is it me? Then he says in verse 20, it's one of the 12 dipping bread into the dish with me. This is interesting. The dish in mind would have been the dish of harasat, which was a bitter, sweet sauce. Here's my takeaway. I don't know if I'm right. Betrayal is bitter, but salvation is sweet. Betrayal. One of you is going to betray me, but salvation is sweet. Because it was through that act of betrayal that the salvation story would keep going. Rather than a sign indicating who it is that's doing it as though it's some kind of secret sign, I think this is rather indicative that the one who's going to betray Jesus was one of those who was most close to him. That's sad. Though one of those who was in the closest fellowship with Jesus would be one of the very ones who would sell him out. And it kind of recalls Psalm 41, verse 9. Even my close friend, in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted his heel against me. You know, some of us probably can look back in those stories where we had very close fellowship or connection with someone, and then one day things went south, and then, figuratively speaking, they stabbed you in the back. And that hurts in a way like no other, right? When you were close, when you were good friends, and then they turn on you in the end. That hurts. That's something you don't really shake. To share a meal with someone and then betray them was the worst kind of betrayal, especially in the context of a Middle Eastern table. Sharing a meal together was indicative of trust and friendship, right? Mealtime, dinner table is significant. It's meaningful. Well, in Matthew's account, Judas asks Jesus, "Surely you don't mean me, Rabbi?" I hear that and I think, man, if I was him, I can imagine my pulse racing, sweating bullets. He already made his plans. He knows what's going on. We know the plans, and so does Jesus. And Judas was busted. A way out was still possible. Here's the point. When we know we're busted, when we're found out, we have a choice to make. When we feel that poke of conviction, will we come clean? Will we stop and turn around? Will we repent? Or will we continue on in the direction that we know is wrong? There's always a way out. There's always a way out. The best thing we can do, whether busted or not, is to come clean, to turn around, and to surrender it to Jesus, because there's no rest to be found in holding on to that sin. There's no rest to be found in holding on to that sin. But it's when we solidify our decision to keep going the wrong direction that we seal the natural consequences, and we harden our own hearts sometimes by default. But then in verse 21, that ominous warning of Jesus. The coming events are going to plan, as it has been written. But it doesn't discredit the choice in the matter or the consequence. Isaiah 53:11, the righteous one, my servant, will make many to be accounted righteous, and he shall bear their iniquities. Zechariah 13:7, strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered. All of those things are going to happen. All of that is unfolding according to plan. As tragic as it is, all unfolding according to God's plan, he's still not a victim of circumstance. He's the author of the story. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom. Mark 10:45. And so in the unfolding plan, we see two things happening. We see the divine sovereignty converge with human responsibility. And they both go hand in hand, and they mysteriously fit together. And somehow, mysteriously, it all comes together in this beautiful story, and they converge, while human responsibility is not minimized or mitigated. And yet, divine sovereignty ensures all of it comes together. It would have been better for that one to not have been born than to follow through with his plans. because he made the choice. No one made him do it. And in the same way, there are some things that we feel those temptations to do, or maybe you've done in the past, and it would be better to not have been born than to follow through with that thing and to never turn around. But no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, you can always turn it around. As long as you have breath in your lungs, you can turn around, you can repent, and you can return to Jesus. And I really do believe that even Judas could have turned around. In the end, he could have repented, but instead he hung himself and sealed his fate. And so the meal continues. Jesus took bread. He blessed it with a customary Jewish prayer. I wish I had a piece of bread in front of me right now. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. That would have been his first prayer when he blessed it. And then he took the bread and he passed it out. And he said, take, this is my body. What's interesting is Jesus would have been probably speaking in Aramaic where there is no is, and that is supplied. Even though whether that is was intentional or not, I really do believe that Jesus still meant for this to be a way to remember him rather than a way to somehow mysteriously actually eat his body. There's church traditions who interpret this differently. I really believe that the bread stays bread, and it's really meant to point us to what Jesus has done on our behalf. And so he broke the bread, he gave it out to them. And now if you eliminate the is, it's kind of interesting. Take this, my body. Then Jesus took the third cup. He would have taken a third cup and he would have blessed it again with the customary prayer. Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who brings forth the fruit of the vine. He would have blessed the cup, and then this would have been the cup of redemption. And it's at this point that he inserts where the story is going next. We're at the cup of redemption, the cup of salvation. He says this. Let me find it here. The cup of redemption, this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many. The cup of redemption. Jesus' life would be poured out, and he associated that cup with his own blood, the blood of covenant that was going to be shed for the sake of others. And so I just find that so beautiful, and really just it kind of changed how I view the communion table, of realizing that Jesus took the cup of redemption and he reinterpreted the entire meaning, centering it on himself. Jesus' lifeblood, as we know, would be poured out to enact a new covenant. And then if you keep going, the blood of covenant here, this, my blood of the covenant, is an echo of Exodus 24, verse 8, where the blood was used to initiate the first covenant that God made with his people in Exodus 24, verse 8. And Moses took the blood and threw it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words. And so just as blood from sacrifice sealed the first covenant, so the new covenant would be sealed with blood, but not of a lamb, but of God's